My name is Patrick, and basically from the SRKK system RKK, and some of you may be familiar with us. And yeah, so this round we are collaborate with DocuSign to run this webinar to talk about this e-signature. So whereby this webinar will be hold you for an hours. So yeah, it's just 11 to 12 in Malaysia time and as well as Singapore. Yeah. So hopefully is that you enjoy the entire sessions with us. Yeah. And I would like to just brief through a quick one on our agenda. So yeah. So first thing that we'll do introductions and moving on, we will have this DocuSign overview about their solutions, and we'll move on to the live demo, and so that you can just experience through the whole experience that you are moving from this manual way into a e-signature. So that's the amazing experience. And also we'll leave a Q&A sessions afterwards, and we can do it two ways. Like if you want to turn on your mic to just ask verbally, or you can even like drop your questions into the chat. So our team will be like answer your questions at the Q&A sessions later on. So and we hope the sessions will be more interacting with the audience, and yeah, and also feel free to do so. And at the end of the sessions, that's the interesting part, that we have a quiz time whereby you actually get some rewards once you answer the quiz. And yeah, we have prepared some gift for you as well. Yeah, so we are giving away some vouchers at the end of the sessions on quiz. So stay tuned with us up to the end of the sessions. All right. So a quick one just to introduce that our speaker today. And basically we have a DocuSign Asia Pacific team with us and to walk through the whole presentations. And first one is Claire. So basically Claire is the regional account executive who taking care of this enterprise account. Yep. So I believe some of you could be familiar with her. Yep. And also we have Mike, who is a senior solution engineer who will be walking through on the demo later on. So and answer anything that technicals or any kind of challenges that you are facing. Yeah. And also we have a Virginie, and who is also a regional account executive that handling on mid markets. So yeah, so mainly this team is mainly taking care of Asia Pacific account. So I believe on the line that we have a Malaysia customer and also Singapore customer and maybe some other country in the Asia Pacific. So yeah, I think without further ado, I would like to hand over the mic over to Claire. So to walk through with us on the overview of the DocuSign. Yeah, over to you, Claire.
Thanks, Patrick. Thanks a lot. Very excited today to be part of today's session and be able to talk a bit more about DocuSign today. So there's quite a lot of information that will come into everyone's direction today during the slides that I'll presenting, and then afterwards during the demonstration as well. So yeah, please feel free to post all of your questions in the chatter throughout. At the end, like Patrick mentioned, we'll have a Q&A session, so we'll walk through all of your questions then. And what we'll do as well, like Patrick mentioned, is that we'll have quick quiz questions at the end. So do stick around. There are some nice prizes that will be given away. And just a tip with regards to those responses to the questions, they'll be followed throughout the slides. So take good care. So with regards to these next slides, right, before really starting to provide a bit more information about DocuSign, I would like to just ask all of you a question first. And that is that regardless of the industry or department that you're working in, do you ever feel like this, right? So please raise your hand in Teams if you ever felt like this, like you're managing so many documents that you feel a bit snowed under sometimes. So I do see that some people have raised their hands. So yes, with that, I want to say that DocuSign is here to help you with this. So you might have seen this slide already, right? The introductory slide before that mentioned the agreement cloud company. So why I added this slide today is that you probably know DocuSign already because of being world's most well-known e-signature company. And that is absolutely at the core of what we do and what we'll be talking about today as well. But DocuSign does way more these days. So we offer actually the entire spectrum, which means that we help organizations to automate your entire workflow of your documents. So not just with the electronically signing part, but we also help you to digitize how you can, for example, prepare or manage your documents as well. So DocuSign has been around for almost 20 years now. We have more than 5,000 employees globally and clients in more than 180 countries. So since then, we've really evolved and become a multi-product company that focuses only on just one thing, and that is really to help you to automate your entire document cloud strategy. So having said this, we have broken down the agreement cloud into 4 parts that you can see here on the slide as well. So that means that we can help you to automate the way you prepare, how you sign, and how you act and manage your documents. So for today, we'll only be focusing on the signing part, so this yellow part. But it is important to know that we have solutions in place at DocuSign that can help you with the other aspects within that agreement cloud as well. So you can see also on this slide that we have more than 350 pre-built integrations. And this is because we know that 80% of your documents are probably currently being managed through other systems, right? Like, for example, your procurement system or an HR solution or a CRM solution that you have in place. So we do know how important it is to be able to integrate DocuSign easily with those systems that you're currently using today. So just to give you an idea on like companies, for example, like SAP or Salesforce.com or Microsoft. So all of them were integrated with flawlessly, but not just integrated, but they're also large clients of ours. And they're even investors in DocuSign. And above all, some of them are even our partners and resellers. So I mentioned that DocuSign has become a multi-product company over the years. And at this slide, you really can see some of these solutions that we offer under those individual parts, right? Under the prepare, sign, act, and manage part of the Agreement Cloud. So now like to dive in a bit more specifically in the eSignature solution. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so today we have already a lot of clients in Malaysia within different industries. So you can think of, for example, Malaysian clients in telco, in oil and gas, in government, in manufacturing, accounting, much more. All of them are using our e-signature solution, and we support all of them out of our Singapore-based office, in which we have different teams, like, for example, solution engineering, customer success, sales, all in order to support them in the best way. Globally, at this point, we have, almost actually 600,000 organizations that are using DocuSign e-signature specifically. And these companies really range from the world's largest companies to small local businesses as well, across all industries. So I'd like to explain now a bit more about why all of them are using DocuSign, because I think that you'll see the relevance then as well for your own situation. So when you look at this slide, right, agreements are really everywhere. They're really at the core and the foundation of doing businesses. So think about, for example, sales contracts or NDAs or your vendor supplier agreements. There are really hundreds of types of agreements that are touching every business function. And this slide just gives you like a glimpse of how many documents you probably have within your company. And at the same time, this slide also shows you the type of documents that we can help, that we help our clients to sign in a digital way. So I still just want to like give a little anecdote as well, because I still remember from myself, for example, that a couple of years back, before joining DocuSign, I joined a previous company. So I joined LinkedIn back then. And for the first time in my career, I received my offer letter through DocuSign. And I'd never worked or never signed a document before through DocuSign, so I was really not familiar at all. But I remember the experience to receive an email in which, yeah, it was so simple. I just followed the steps to sign in a full electronic way my offer letter, put in the details, all of it, just in a full automated way. So I didn't have to go to, for example, the post office to, print my offer letter because I don't have a printer at home. Didn't have to, sign it at home and then go back to the post office to send it out back to LinkedIn or go to LinkedIn itself. All of that was done digitally. So that was really a great experience. So when looking here at your current process, right, I'm sure that these slides probably resonates and definitely feels familiar to you as well. So under the prepare phase, for example, think about how you currently have to prepare your agreement somehow. Right, you probably have to obtain some internal signatures before, and then you're finally ready to email or post the document to the external party for sign off. And that party then might need to wait for days for the document to arrive, or when through email, they have to print it first to be able to sign and send back. And then there's also the process afterwards, right? After the document has been signed, where, you have to here under act and manage, where you have to perhaps provision or bill the external party, or store your document afterwards in, for example, a filing cabinet. So all this process is so hard and complex, but yet it is still very common in a lot of companies today. So without digitization, the way we sign documents, we see a few recurring negative impacts that our clients usually always mention to us when they talk to us. And I don't want to drill down in all of them in more depth, but I do want to mention a bit more on the cost part, right? So costly. What does it mean? So that means being that a paper-based signature processes involves a lot of time of your personnel, for example, having to prepare the document. But it also means the costs that are involved in material or cost of printing, scanning, faxing, sending internationally. And then focusing on the risk part. What we mean by that is really, managing your documents manually can be risky, right? Because potentially you have leaky manual processes that can be prone to error. They may even not be court admissible. And especially now that many of us are working from home, and well, the working from home is likely to stick around in the future, it is so important that you have a fully secure process to sign your documents in place. So what we can help with is at first we can help you to improve efficiency across your business by automating the preparation of agreements, right? Also configuring routing rules, for example, or tracking agreements in real time. So on average, based on our customer base, what we see globally is that we see here a snapshot here of the amount of cost per agreement on average that we are helping them save, which is what you can see here, $36. So it is completely normal that at this point you might think, oh, I have no clue how much money an agreement is costing my organization currently to sign in a manual way, right? So the good thing here is that we do work with our clients to conduct personal ROI calculations on how to help you calculate your actual costs at the moment, and then to help you show your ROI as well that DocuSign can provide you for your own company. So if this is of interest for you, then please don't hesitate at the end to let us know, to get in touch with us separately so that we can help you to do those calculations for you. Furthermore, we can also help you to do business faster and better by delivering mobile and easy use experience to your internal employees, but also your customers, obviously, your partners, your suppliers. So you can see that across our DocuSign eSignature customer base, we see that 82% of agreements are completed in less than a day and 50% in less than 15 minutes. So that is really amazing because really now at any time, anywhere, people can sign your documents. And above all, I think important to mention here as well is that DocuSign's mobile interface is fully responsive and is ranked as the #1 e-signature mobile interface out there. So in today's world, and especially, in Malaysia, in Asia in general, where everything is mobile, this is super important. So when it comes to enforcing compliance and reduce risk, DocuSign complies with the Electronic E-commerce Act in Malaysia. And because of this, a lot of our clients in Malaysia, they trust us, and we are more than happy to explain you in a bit more on some of their use cases, specifically on a separate basis with you. Then finally, like I mentioned before, DocuSign has hundreds of pre-built integrations readily available. So for you, it's just a matter of, plug in. And that literally means that, after you've been provisioned with DocuSign, you can sign your first documents electronically straight after, within the hours after. So these are just a snapshot of some of the clients that we have globally, whether that is in, for example, finance or pharma, but also, for example, WWF in Malaysia is our client as well. And then there are obviously many more. So a very important question that we often receive also is what happens after I come on board with DocuSign, right? So for all of you, it's probably completely new. So this is quite important to know that the good thing is that we can help you to automate your agreements because it is at the core of what we do. And because of that, we have a full customer success team in place that is available to help you to enroll, adopt, and use DocuSign in the best way straight from the start. So literally after a couple of days you come on board, we can help you with that to really lift your business to the next level. Before handing it over to Mike to go into a short demonstration, I also just wanted to briefly talk about this slide, simply because, we all know that there are quite a few e-signature vendors out there in the market, right? And again, what I want to stress here is the last point. Right? So the last point, it says so much, right? So DocuSign focuses only on a few solutions that will help you to digitize how you manage your documents. So our e-signature solution, for example, is not offered on top of any additional other solutions, but it's really our core product. It's our core business. And because of that, you can see that we have the largest number of companies that are trusting us with their documents. And this also has to do with, for example, the fact that we have a global footprint and that we've been able to invest also massively in being compliant with latest regulations, for example, but also being able to invest highly in security. And that is why our uptime and availability, for example, is really unmatched to that of any other vendor out there. So with that, Mike, I'd like to invite you to take over from me and go into the demonstration.
Much. So as we mentioned, DocuSign is known as being the #1 e-signature provider, and part of what we offer is an extensive ecosystem of integrations. Now, it's not uncommon for people to be preparing their documents in something like Microsoft Word. So you can see I've got an agreement here where I need a couple of signatures. Just to make it slightly more challenging for DocuSign, I'm actually going to move that a little bit further down the page. That looks fine. From within Word, I can actually kick off a DocuSign request. I can sign a document, so I can upload and apply my own signature. But what I want to do is actually send this out for signature to an external party, and then it's going to come back to me for me to countersign. So I simply click Request Signatures. This DocuSign Word add-in is available from the Microsoft Store. There is no additional cost. You can see that it's now uploaded my document to DocuSign. And when I click Next, that document is now being converted into what we call an envelope. And an envelope can have multiple documents. So DocuSign's created my envelope from that document. And then DocuSign has a lot of inbuilt intelligence. So DocuSign has said, I'm looking at this document and I think I already have an appropriate workflow, and I know how to mark up where the signatures go. So it's automatically offering me a template that it thinks is a good fit for my document. And I'm going to say, you're right, it is absolutely a confidentiality agreement that I'm wanting to send out. So it now applies that template, and we can now see I've got a very simple workflow. I'm going to send it to the external signer first. Once they sign, it will automatically come back to me as the sender to countersign that. It's got the email messages and everything all pre-built. That's part of the template. So I'm simply going to type in who I would like it to go to. I'm going to send it to Claire Signer. And at this point, I'm actually ready to just simply send it out. So let me click send, and DocuSign will confirm that that has been sent out. And now let me see if I can successfully get my phone to pop up on the screen. There we go. So I'm now sitting in that inbox. You can see that Claire has automatically received an email. So I can simply open that email. You're able to brand. All right, it doesn't look like it's updating. All right, I'm going to switch to the browser. And I'll pretend to be on a mobile device on the screen. So when you receive a DocuSign email, you can brand it with your own graphics and colors. You can customize the email message. So this email message was picked up automatically from my template. It's automatically putting the people's names in the right place. And then all Claire needs to do is simply click this button. There's no requirement for any software or to have done anything. The very first email you get, you can simply click that button and it will open a secure signing session. So I'm going to pretend that I'm actually on a mobile device. All right, let's get back there. And you'll notice that my original kind of normal page size is really pretty big. All right, so it doesn't look great on the mobile phone, but it's offering me the option to make this document much easier to work with by making it mobile friendly. And this is something that's unique to DocuSign, where we can automatically convert the document you sent us into HTML. You can see now that all the text is word wrapped. It's a font that's very easy to read. And then as I scroll down, we can see we've got company information. And this is because Claire actually has her own DocuSign account. So we already know which company Claire works for. We've got her name because I entered that when I sent it out. It indicates that Claire's also provided her job title to us previously. And then I'm going to apply a signature. Now, I've already run through and tested this, so let me just delete that existing signature, and I can show you what happens the very first time that you sign with DocuSign. Now, I'm not really on a mobile device, so it's going to be very hard for me to draw a good signature. But that's okay, because there is another option which enables me to use an inbuilt handwriting style. And this is fully legal. In the electronic signature world, the signature does not need to look like the signature that somebody normally does on paper. So we have some customers, and the only option they've chosen to give you is this standard font at the bottom, but I like the look of this one here. So I'm going to select that. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to adopt that as my signature, and that's now added to the document. You'll also see here that if I had questions about the document, I can actually add a comment that will go back to the sender, and then the sender can reply. So I can ask questions before I sign. I could decide to ask a question and come back later without signing. All of that is available to you with DocuSign. I'm actually comfortable with this agreement. I was expecting it. I've read it. It looks fine. So I click next. We give them a quick preview of what the PDF version that they'll get at the end looks like. And then I can simply click finish, and all done. Now, because Claire does have an account, she could log in if she wants to do something else in DocuSign, but we're going to say no thanks. And then you get to control this landing page. So you might want to put them on your own website, or a thank you page on your website that says thank you for electronically signing, and might, talk up how much quicker, easier, and more environmentally friendly it is. So at this point, if I jump into DocuSign and refresh my home page, I should see that there's now a document or documents that are awaiting me taking some action. So we can see that there is now action required by me. So when I click on that shortcut, it will automatically show me that I've got this document to sign. Now, at any point while a document is going through its workflow, you can jump in and have a look at where it's up to. So I can see that, oh, okay, Claire's signed. If the signer is sharing their location, we capture that information as well. but under most countries' privacy law, they don't have to share this. But this is my home office here in Sydney. And so you can see where I've signed when I was pretending to be Claire. Now at this point, I'm ready to sign as the last person in the workflow. So I can click sign. Because I'm on a full screen device, I don't have that mobile option because it recognizes that I've got a nice big screen. If I wanted to download a copy and, take it away or email it to someone, I can print it, I could add a comment, but I can read through the document. I can now see, oh, great, Claire's signed, everything's in the document. I could update my title. So maybe I've changed my role. So if needs be, you can let people edit the information that we've included. And now I'm going to sign. I've got a pre-built signature, obviously. And at this point, I'm ready to finish. Now, at this point, the whole workflow is completed. And what I'd like to show you now is the actual documents that come out of this process and some of the security controls. So let me download. I'm going to download the document that was signed, the certificate of completion, and this is the audit trail. It's designed as a court admissible document, and it contains all of the information that you would need to demonstrate to a court in the event that somebody disputed that they'd electronically signed the document. So let me download that. Hopefully that won't take too long. Come on, Firefox. Great, we're done. And let me open that up within my PDF viewer. Great, so here is that document in my PDF viewer. The first thing I want to point out, I cannot edit this document. So this document is finalized. It's a legally binding agreement. And under the Malaysian law, you need to prevent people being able to make unauthorized changes. So the way that DocuSign does this is, in addition to the electronic signatures within the document itself, DocuSign has added its own digital signature. And part of the reason for that is that this signature proves that the document has not been modified after it left the DocuSign system. So we can see we've got a nice looking document. Everything's kind of lined up where we'd like it to be. And then the audit trail is down here. So this is our certificate of completion. It gives me the unique DocuSign reference. That is also part of the signature. So even if you only have the electronically signed document, you can always find the audit trail by looking at this unique identifier. And just to show you, that's exactly the same as the one that we have online. And you can search and find any documents in your account using this envelope ID. So let's have a look at what information we've captured. Unique transaction reference. What is the status? It's completed. What was the subject of the envelope? So Claire, our confidentiality agreement for review and signature. There were 2 pages in the document. We collected 2 signatures, and this audit trail is 2 pages long. The time zone is my time zone of Sydney, and it was sent by me. So there are all my details, including my email, my IP address. The fact that it's an original, I didn't make any changes while it was in flight. And now I can see each of the different types of actions that people have taken during the process. So we can see Claire, her email address, her job title, her company, the signature that she selected, the fact that it's one of the inbuilt styles, the IP address that Claire has signed from, the fact that it was signed using a mobile device, when it was sent, when it was viewed, and then when it was signed. And all of this information is part of what the Malaysian Act requires you to be able to demonstrate. It's then come to me as the second signer. There's all of my details, my signature, the dates and times, my IP address. If we'd had any other types of actions during the workflow, such as a carbon copy, then that would also be part of our audit trail, but we've kept it simple for today's demo. DocuSign also does a number of security checks while we have custody of your document. So we can see that we're able to encrypt the email that we sent, because Gmail supports encryption. When it was delivered, we checked the security to make sure nothing had been changed. When everybody is signed, we checked it again to make sure there were no unauthorized changes. And then once it was completed, a final check so that DocuSign is testifying your document was not modified while we had control of it, and this signature says it has not been modified after the event. If I collected payments, I would have a payment reference from my payment gateway here. Now, obviously, it makes sense for Claire to receive her own copy of those completed documents. So DocuSign does that automatically. You'll see here the completed documents have been attached to the email. And I'd just like to point out that, as I mentioned, DocuSign has lots of integrations. So if I'm in Gmail and I need to upload and sign or send for signature something that's been emailed, I can do that from Gmail, Google Drive, Chrome, SAP, SuccessFactors, Ariba, Salesforce. We have the largest number of integrations, and that's why DocuSign is sort of the de facto standard for eSignature. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing at this point, and I'll let it go back to Claire.
Perfect. Everyone should be able to see the Q&A slide.
Thank you, Mike. I hope everyone enjoyed the demo session. So this is the best time now for you to ask all the question that you had in mind during this webinar. So feel free just, to add your question in the chat. So let's start with Joanne's one regarding the template. So I don't think we would have enough time today to go through the demo again, but I can ask Mike a related question to that topic. So Mike, do we need to set up the document every time we send it?
Great question, Virginie. No, you don't. So the very first time that you want to send out the document, you upload the document like you saw me do from Word. You specify a workflow. So in my case, I added an external signer as the first person. And then I said to DocuSign, add the sender as the second person. I created my email messages, and then I basically dragged and dropped the signatures and names onto the document, and then I sent it out. Now, after you've sent it the first time, you can automatically create a template from that envelope. And then the next time I upload that document, DocuSign will automatically offer me the template. It will automatically add the workflow and put all the names and dates and signatures in the right place.
Thank you, Mike. Hope it helped, Joanne, with your question. Let's move to the second one. So how do we know that the signer is the actual person who is authorized to sign the agreements? That is issue of verification.
Great. We tried to keep the demonstration very simple today, but DocuSign has a number of different authentication options that you can add to collect more information regarding who is signing. So the most common and popular one is an SMS message. So basically, when you send it out, you add their phone number. When they click that review documents button, before they can see the document, it will say, I need to send you a one-time code to your phone. It shows their phone number. They can say, that's great, that's the right number. They click the button. We will send them a unique code, and they then need to enter that code before they're allowed to view or sign the documents. That phone number and that SMS verification are added to the certificate of completion, and so you have all of that information available to you. DocuSign also supports phone authentication, so you can ask them to provide a phone number, or you can specify it in advance. If they don't have SMS, this is a great solution. We will actually call them. We will provide that code over the phone, and they can then enter that code and access the document. We've also started rolling out, and it's not global yet, but the ability to actually ask them to photograph something like a driver's license or passport, and we can verify or validate that type of identity. Or if they have something like a digital signature or certificate, we can support them using that as well.
Great, Mike. Thank you so much. So let's move to the next one. Will there be preset templates workflows provided? If yes, can we use that to edit, modify to suit our own organization?
Great. So DocuSign doesn't provide any pre-built templates. we've found that every organization's documents are fairly unique. Even if it's the same type of agreement, it generally looks very different. But as part of our onboarding, we will ask you to bring along one of your documents, and then our team will do a live tutorial via the web where we will show you how to create your first template with your own document, and that's a really great way to learn.
All right, thank you, Mike. Couple more questions. So next one is, can a signature be witnessed and how is that done?
So DocuSign absolutely has an e-witness capability. Whether or not electronic witnessing is legal will depend on your country's electronic transactions and signature legislation. Not all countries allow it, but DocuSign has a witness functionality, and we certainly, I'm based in Australia. We have customers using that in Australia. Depending on where you are in the Asia Pacific region, we can let you know whether or not e-witnessing is legal in your country.
Perfect. Great. Another one here. Can we sign via laptop instead of phone?
Yes, you can sign on, you may remember that I signed on my PC the second time rather than being on a phone. So we can absolutely sign on phones, tablets, PCs, Macs, any internet enabled device that supports HTML5, you should be able to sign from.
Great. Thank you, Mike. So we have two more questions before we move to the contact details and quiz. So next one is, if we are not the sender but as a recipient to receive the agreement, can we make use of DocuSign?
Yes. So you'll remember from Microsoft Word that I had a couple of options, one of which was to sign. So I can sign any document that I receive by simply uploading it into DocuSign, saying I want to sign it, and then I can drag and drop my name and the signature and the date and any other fields that I want to add to the document. And then when I finish signing, it will ask me for the email of the person who sent it, and then DocuSign will automatically send them a copy of that signed document.
Thank you, Mike. Final question for the session today from Jason. What are the local companies that are currently using DocuSign? And is there a demo on how DocuSign integrate with local certification authority to be a valid digital signature?
Absolutely. I can't, unfortunately, just name all of our customers. Some customers do not allow us to share their name publicly. But if you reach out to your DocuSign account executive, they may be able to verbally tell you who they are, but I really unfortunately cannot do that on a webinar and upset our existing customers. There was a slide earlier of some of the names we can use publicly. DocuSign partners with a large number of trust service providers who provide digital certificates. DocuSign actually is a trust service provider for the EU. But we partner with many companies locally. For instance, in India, we partner with eMudra. Claire, do you know the names of who else we partner with? I know we partner in China. I think it's eSeals. And DocuSign has what we call signer held. So any valid digital certificate can be brought along and used for a digital signature within DocuSign.
Yeah, so in Malaysia specifically, we do partner with a couple of local certificate authorities. One of them, for example, is Post DigiCert, but definitely we can speak in more detail about this after the webinar with whoever is interested to know more about this.
All right, thank you, Claire. At this point, we'll wrap up the Q&A so that we've got time for the quiz.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike and Claire. I think this is a good transition to how to get in touch. So I recognize some of the attendees today who are already in contact with me. Probably some are already in contact with Claire, Nick, and Patrick as well. If you're already in contact with one of us, please continue to reach out to us. We will be your main point of contact at DocuSign. And if you're new to DocuSign, feel free to just, contact us, Patrick, Claire, Virginie, Nick, or even our generic email. We will redirect you to the right person. Thanks everyone for joining today. Here a nice picture of how you're going to save the environment by using DocuSign, and hope to speak to you later on. Thanks.